The movie begins in the heart of the city, where zombie-like creatures called rotters, meaning the decayed, are attacking and killing people everywhere. Panic spreads as everyone runs trying to find a place to hide. A journalist attempts to cover the event, but one of the creatures grabs her and the cameraman, killing them, while chaos and destruction continue in the streets. These creatures seem to have a certain level of intelligence, as they break windows to reach people hiding inside. A woman appears talking to her daughter on the phone, telling her to stay away from any danger, but unfortunately one of the creatures chases her down and kills her. All of this has happened within just 4 hours. After that, we move to a medical student named Zoe and her classmate in a lab, where the doctor asks them about their theories regarding a decomposed body in front of them. Zoe figures out it's some kind of influenza, but she can't identify exactly what type it is. Shortly after, the doctor asks Zoe to take a blood sample from a patient who has an unusually high level of antibodies. Zoe follows the instructions, but she's uncomfortable, especially when she sees Max, a patient who comes in often and is obsessed with her. As she starts taking the sample, Max begins talking in a strange and creepy way, refusing to take no for an answer while Zoe tries to calm him down. She's disgusted when she discovers he carved her name into his arm. After taking both samples, Max reaches toward her leg, but her classmate steps in just in time, saves the situation, and gets him out. Later, Zoe goes to a party thrown by medical students. She hears they hid beer kegs in the morgue, so she goes to help bring them back. When she enters, she doesn't find anyone, so she starts moving carefully, but suddenly gets scared by a moving body, which turns out to be just a guy from the party playing a prank. He takes one keg and leaves, while Zoe grabs the other. At that moment, Max appears and starts saying disturbing things, making her angry when he claims they have a relationship. Zoe begins screaming in fear, and Max hits her, knocking her to the ground. He falls on top of her and starts trying to assault her. While he's doing that, one of the bodies in the lab suddenly comes to life, attacks him, and bites him hard. Zoe runs back to the party to warn everyone about the creature in the morgue. At first, no one believes her, but they change their minds when the doctor shows up infected and immediately bites a student. The creature from the morgue appears as well, and the infected start attacking people. Everyone screams and runs. Zoe manages to escape through a window and tries to save her friend, but the doctor reaches her first and bites her in the neck. More rotters jump in and start devouring her, while Zoe watches her friend get eaten alive. 5 years later, the world has completely changed. The outbreak has become a global pandemic, and only a few survivors remain, living in refugee camps. Zoe manages to reach one of these camps, which later becomes a fortified base in the mountains used for military scouting and intelligence. The base is surrounded by walls, and soldiers shoot any rotters that get close. Zoe's mission is to gather information about the creatures for the CDC, even though they haven't heard from them in over a year. Lieutenant Miguel believes her research is a waste of time, but she stays optimistic and continues her work, with help from Elise, whose medical knowledge helped her become the base's doctor. One day, Zoe examines a little girl named Lily who is still sick despite receiving treatment. After a careful check, Zoe realizes Lily has bacterial pneumonia. She decides to go with a team to her old university lab to retrieve medication that could save Lily's life. At first, Miguel refuses because it's too dangerous for just one person, but Zoe insists and explains that the infection could spread through the entire base and kill everyone. He reluctantly agrees. After the meeting, Becca, Zoe's boyfriend, goes to her and they spend some time together, but when things start to get intimate, Zoe remembers what happened with Max and stops things without explaining why. Outside the base, they find some dead rotters, but most of the journey is quiet. In the middle of the trip, their vehicle suddenly breaks down, forcing them to stop and fix it. The forest around them is dense, making it hard to see the rotters until they're very close, so they try to hurry, but night falls before they finish. Suddenly, they hear gurgling sounds and movement coming from the forest, making everyone tense. Luckily, they manage to fix the vehicle just in time. They jump inside quickly, but the car doesn't start at first, and a rotter appears at the window. Then the car finally starts, and they escape. After a few hours, they arrive at the university. Becca splits the team into two groups. One stays at the gate to keep watch, while the other goes inside with Zoe. They find blood and destruction everywhere, but thankfully the pharmacy is still locked. Zoe manages to open it using the password, and the team collects a large amount of medication. On their way out, Zoe stops at her old lab while the team keeps moving. She takes her old photos and a few things that might help with her research. Suddenly, a rotter appears from the back door. She fires a shot to scare it off, then runs and shuts the door behind her. After that, Zoe fired a few shots just in case, then started running. While she was running, her hair tie fell off. The rotter in the lab, who turned out to be Max, found it, smelled it, and immediately recognized her. The sound of the gunshots caught the attention of the other rotters in the building, and they started coming down, searching for humans, even falling down the stairs in the process. Becca's team heard the noise and went to look for Zoe, and luckily they found her. At first, they got ready to leave, but the rotters caught up with them and jumped on Frank, biting him in the neck. The others managed to shoot some of them, but more showed up and attacked Frank. He told them to leave him behind, so the rest ran out of the building while Frank used his last breaths to fight and kill as many rotters as he could. The next morning, the team returned to the base without realizing that Max had followed them after hiding under one of the vehicles. While Miguel and the guards were busy with Becca's report, Max took the chance and slipped away unnoticed. Miguel got furious because they lost the soldier, Frank, and blamed Zoe for his death. Out in the woods, Max hid among the trees and started watching kids playing with a ball outside the fence. After a while, a soldier went back inside, but one kid stayed behind to get his ball. When he crossed the safe boundary, the soldier noticed him and sent him back inside, promising to bring the ball. At that moment, Max suddenly jumped on the soldier and killed him within seconds, then ran toward the base and managed to sneak inside before the doors were fully closed. With so many soldiers around, Max hid inside the ventilation shafts and used the hair tie to track Zoe. At the same time, Zoe went to give Lily her medicine. On her way back to her room, Max saw her and started following her, but stopped when he saw Becca get to her first. They talked and kissed, which made Max jealous. Meanwhile, Lily's father heard a noise inside the vents and thought it was a rat. He went in to check and found Max, who attacked him immediately. Shortly after, Lily's mother, Wendy, came looking for her husband. She noticed blood on the vent cover, and when she opened it, his body fell out. She screamed and ran, but Max chased her, slammed into her, and dragged her away. Back to Zoe, she checked on Lily and found that she was doing better now. After that, Max went back into the vents and kept watching. When Zoe left, Max suddenly appeared in front of her. She started running and managed to trigger the intrusion alarm before Max could choke her near a locked door. He tried to remove his mask to show his identity, and Zoe began to realize it was Max. Then he pushed her against the door without biting her and started kissing her. At that moment, a military squad showed up and opened fire, hitting Max and knocking him down. Zoe used herself as a shield and begged them not to kill him, saying he was still alive and intelligent, and could help with her research. Becca threw a net over him, and the soldiers helped secure him and take him to the lab. When Miguel found out, he started yelling, but Zoe proved she had made a discovery by showing her arm and explaining that Max didn't bite her, which means something in his brain is still functioning and could help her develop a cure. Miguel didn't believe her at first, but Frank's girlfriend stepped in and asked him to let them try so Frank's death wouldn't be in vain. Miguel reluctantly agreed and ordered the soldiers to shoot if there were any signs of danger. After that, Zoe and Elise monitored Max's vital signs and found that parts of his body were dead, but his heart, eyes, and brain were still functioning like a normal human. To understand more, they needed a blood sample. Elise kept her weapon ready while Zoe approached Max and took the sample as he whispered her name and tried to touch her. Later, Becca examined Zoe, which made Max even more jealous. Zoe explained that Max's blood contains a high level of hormones that might stop the virus, but she doesn't know which gland they come from, so she needs samples from other live rotters to compare. At first, Becca hesitated, but Zoe convinced him there was no other option. They waited until it got dark so they could collect samples without Miguel noticing. Becca led a team to the main gate and let a router in. They restrained it. Zoe quickly took a sample, and then Becca shot it in the head. They let another one in, but when Zoe took too long, more routers gathered at the gate. In the end, the soldiers couldn't hold them back anymore, and the routers attacked, tearing into them without hesitation. The other soldiers opened fire and killed several routers before retreating to their vehicles. Elise was driving one of the vehicles, and before she could leave, a router bit her arm. The routers saw the vehicles moving and started chasing them. Back at the base, Miguel was looking for Zoe when he saw Max and noticed Zoe's name carved into his arm. He assumed Max was her boyfriend and that she was keeping him for personal reasons. At that moment, the alarm went off. Miguel rushed to the bunker gate, where the vehicles were approaching. He and the other soldiers started shooting to keep the routers away and managed to close the gate just in time before they got inside. After that, Miguel yelled at everyone and noticed that Elise had been bitten. He pulled out his gun, but Zoe explained that the infection hadn't spread yet and would take time since it wasn't a bite to the brain, and that the serum might be able to cure her. However, Miguel doubted the idea of a cure and shot Elise in the head. Zoe started screaming, and Miguel pointed his gun at her, but Becca calmed him down. Before leaving, Miguel gave Zoe 12 hours to finish her experiment before he would kill Max. Becca went with Miguel to his office and started questioning his behavior. Miguel brought up the name carved into Max's arm and hinted that Zoe had been cheating on Becca, assuming she had other motives. Becca went back to Zoe and demanded an explanation. In the end, Zoe confessed what Max had done to her and how she had been living with the trauma. She felt hurt by Becca's lack of trust and walked away. Zoe continued her research, and 2 soldiers came to watch Max. One of them got too close trying to provoke him, so Max grabbed her by the neck and slammed her head into the wall, but the other soldier quickly pulled them apart. Max took advantage of the moment and stole the key to his restraints. After they left, he kept calling out to Zoe, saying she belonged to him, but she ignored him and kept working. After several hours and multiple tests, Zoe confirmed that Max's blood protects against the virus and could be used to create a serum. Even infected people might be able to fight off the virus before it reaches the brain. At that moment, Max finally escaped using the key and started choking Zoe, but she grabbed a chemical jar and threw it in his face, then ran. She found the soldiers and told them, but they realized Max had already escaped. The alarm was triggered again, and civilians were ordered to stay in their area. Lily got scared and started looking for someone to help her. She found Wendy, who had turned into a router, and a chase began. Lily ran into a soldier who was attacked and bitten by Wendy. Lily managed to hide, and just before Wendy could kill her, Max showed up and killed Wendy instantly. In the civilian area, Miguel reassured everyone that things were under control to calm them down, then ordered Becca's team to kill Max even if the serum wasn't ready. Meanwhile, Zoe was searching for Lily, following a trail of bodies, and picked up a weapon from a fallen soldier. Eventually, she realized Max had kidnapped Lily and wanted to trade her for Zoe. Zoe threatened to kill herself, which made Max even angrier, and he bit Lily. But when Zoe dropped her weapon, Max let Lily go, and she hid under a vehicle. Max grabbed Zoe by the hair and opened the gates, allowing more routers to come in. Some routers tried to bite Zoe, but Max protected her. At that moment, soldiers arrived and started shooting, killing as many routers as possible. Miguel quickly shot Max, forcing him to let Zoe go. A router spotted Lily, so she ran outside the base with Zoe chasing after her, and Max followed them too. The soldiers kept firing, but there were too many routers. The creatures surrounded the guard at the gate and killed him, then managed to break into the base and started killing civilians one after another. The guards inside tried to take down as many as possible, but they all fell, except for one female soldier who got bitten in the neck. Her teammate had no choice but to shoot her in the head before she turned. At the main gate, Becca got bitten in the arm before killing the last router. Miguel closed the gate, but Becca tried to stop him for Zoe's sake, and Miguel threatened him. Suddenly, 2 rotters appeared behind Miguel and jumped on him, while a third attacked Becca. He fought back and managed to kill it. The rotters fell, but it was too late for Miguel. Becca opened the gate, but another rotter appeared and attacked him before a soldier managed to shoot it. Meanwhile, Zoe found Lily, and they hid inside a greenhouse. Max saw them through the window and followed Zoe's scent until he found her jacket on a table, but it was a trap. Zoe jumped out from behind a pile of dirt and attacked him with a gardening knife, slicing open his stomach and then cutting his throat. After that, Zoe and Lily went back inside and found Becca, who was about to kill himself, but Zoe convinced him to wait since the infection hadn't spread yet and she could finish the serum. Shortly after, in the lab, Zoe gave Becca the first dose of the serum, and it worked. That meant they could use the antibodies to produce more of it. In the end, Zoe sent a radio message calling for survivors to come to the base to receive the serum. The survivors began rebuilding their lives and finally had hope for the future. And that's where the movie ends. Thanks for watching, and don't forget your opinion matters, so leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel.